Hey, baby girl.
Hey, Cuddy. Clearly, just by the way he talks and looks, you just feel like he's a bad guy. And he makes it clear that he's been in the picture. You know, I see my little girls in the back seat.
I see my little girl sleeping back there.
Like, how disrespectful in front of her father to say, that's your little girl.
Whose baby is that? Don't even answer that.
I'm Height,
And I'm Cherie.
and you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
We want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber. So we see that in this house party, we've got, Juanita and Marisol, and they about to get with their boyfriends.
I got this itch I need to be scratched.
One of the songs that is playing in the background is Aretha Franklin singing "Do Right Woman, Do Right Man." And, some of the lyrics in the song talk about if you want a do-right home days woman, basically you got to be a do-right man. And so one of the things that Jose tells Marisol is basically that she better not be sleeping with anybody else while he's gone.
I love you.
I love you too, mama. If you give my pussy away to somebody else, I'm gonna come back and blow that motherfucker up.
It's interesting to me that the dynamic here is that everybody's kind of trying to be a do-right man and woman, even though they're barely legal. It might not even be because they graduated, maybe their birthdays are late. But either way, the point is they're around 18 years old and they're getting coupled up perhaps for life. But one thing that the girls both had said that, that they were about to do is, let them have some relations. And next thing you know, we see Anthony and Juanita heading over to her house and they are getting it on.
Yeah, and one thing that tells you about this time where, they're trying to pair up making these life decisions is that when you have this war going on, you have to make these decisions early, like, okay, I'm getting with a woman, I'm starting a family, because you have to start thinking about what if I don't survive, all that sort of things, right? And that's what happens when you're going into the military and stuff like that, is you really thinking about actual life, especially when you're going to go to war if you're going in at that time in Vietnam. And you're making a lifelong decision, even if it's not your decision, right? If you're drafted, your life is forever changed and you have to just make those decisions early.
Yeah, go to the comments and let us know. Do we have any vets or were any of you like in the Gulf War or any of the conflicts that, of the last years, and whether you felt pressure to make these kinds of life decisions early because you were going into the military? And then a funny thing happens while they're, making out or whatever, is that he gets to her bra and then Juanita has her bra stuffed with tissue. And that was kind of funny.
It's okay.
And then you get the awkwardness of he can't get the bra off. She's like, let me do it.
Just unhook it.
I can't.
I'll get it. I'll do it.
And then at the same time, they're in bed about to be intimate with each other. And she's like, but don't look, don't peek, don't be looking at my body,
Don't peek. Don't look at me.
And of course, the next thing she tells him is, wait, that ain't it.
Oh.
What?
That's not it.
And it just is, it's indicative of what it's like for these young people kind of fumbling through their first encounter. And of course, the infamous headboard banging has to happen. And then we see on the other side of the wall, Delilah is there in her bed by herself. She knows her sister is getting it on with a guy that I think she kind of has a crush on.
Juanita tells Anthony that Marisol and Jose are going to go down to City Hall to get married. And she say, what do you think about that?
Marisol and Jose going down to City Hall tomorrow to get married. What you think about that?
And Anthony says nothing and she rolls her eyes.
Nothing, I guess.
Now, this is going to become very important because as we know, he's going to the Marine Corps and he's going to end up in Vietnam, right? And how will she just wait for him, basically, right? She's going to have to go out and work or find somebody to work, and he's going to be off, right? But the difference with Marisol and Jose is they're going to have a family. He's going to get paid more because he has dependents, at least one dependent, his wife, right? So she won't have to worry about working while he's off in war. But on the flip side, when you have someone, a relationship like Anthony and Juanita, then he's going to be off in Vietnam, not married, and not making the extra money to send back even to his girl, right? So she's just going to have to be, in a way,
Figuring it out on her
figuring it
own.
out on her own back in the States. And if they end up having a kid from this encounter right here, then, that's another thing. But we'll talk about that later.
But the other thing I want to mention here is that, she's essentially making her play. You have to remember what time this was. It was not uncommon for people to be married and get married young. And she's like, okay, this is my boyfriend. And I done just gave it up to him. And now he should, he should be ready to marry
Right.
me. And and especially because I'm sure he's mentioned about wanting to join the military and stuff. And, you're comparing yourself to your friends, and Marisol and Jose are going to be getting married. And so we should be doing the same thing, but he's not on the same page. And part of it is because, honestly, Anthony is he's immature, and not in a bad way, just in a factual way.
But
And he hadn't really thought about all of this.
we don't know if they were actually, how close they were, right? Because at the beginning, it kind of seemed like they weren't really in a relationship, that he just was coming by and she happened to have an eye for him, just like the sister. And this is just them doing it for the first time. So they didn't really establish how long their relationship had been going on, at the time of the party and this night after.
but like, even at least at the beginning, we have Skip asking, hey, has Juanita given it up? Not, and I don't know, maybe he's asking that just because
He claimed he's a pimp and a ladies' man. So it's,
yeah, maybe.
hey, this is this girl you're interested in. So we're not really sure.
Let us know in the comments. Do you think that they had a solid relationship, or do you think it was kind of like he liked her and, she had her eye on him,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of got together at this
Right.
party?
And even if they had just gotten together, is it out of the ordinary, or is it strange that they would actually get married in those times?
So they continue their conversation, and Juanita is saying, hey, so you want to marry me when you come back?
So then you gonna marry me when you get back?
And he's like, maybe if you don't have somebody else by then.
You ain't got somebody else.
But at the same time, he's expressing his own fears about, knowing that he's planning to go to Vietnam and that he might get hurt or might not come back.
Maybe I might get hurt out there and never come back.
And he tells her, I don't know. I don't want you waiting for me.
I don't want you waiting for nothing.
They're trying to negotiate what their deal is going to be.
It's Mosh.
And like every good little sister, she sees the mother has arrived home and Anthony is still laid up in the bed with the sister. And she busts in the room and is like, hey, Mama's home.
And spit all over the place.
So Juanita confesses that she's going to wait for him.
You know I'm gonna wait for you, Anthony.
And that's what she's planning on doing at this point. And they share some tender moments as they, try to escape from the mother catching them together. And he's like, I got to go.
Honey, I gotta go.
What I love about this is that I don't know that this is necessarily the last time they actually saw each other. I think this is kind of the movie taking a turn where it's all wrapped up in this one scene, because it was never established that Anthony, like, oh, I got my papers and I'm leaving next week, right? But we know something happens, and I just love the way, when he runs away and is getting away, what this transition is that we're going to see. So he runs right out of her backyard and over a couple of fences. And the next thing we know, he's in Vietnam. So then we find out that when Skip asked what happened to Juanita,
You heard from Juanita?
she used to write Anthony a lot, and during his first tour.
She used to write me a lot during my first tour.
So this ain't his first tour. And they have a little girl. He gotten her pregnant from that one time or so.
Fucked around and got her pregnant. Man, you bullshit. Yeah, serious, man. Got a little girl back at home.
It makes me think about, like, okay, he's not really hearing from her as much as he used to. And my guess would be because she's busy trying to figure out how to take care of this kid on her own, and also without a whole lot of help.
He isn't writing back because he thinks he doesn't need to be in the so-called world, which is stuff outside of, the war.
So is that a common thing?
Yes, it's common in war and in prison. You will hear people in jail and prison talking about stay out of the world, and people in war to tell you stay out of the world, because it's supposedly easier to get through if you don't have this other attachment that you're constantly thinking about. I guess it's supposed to be for your mental health, but I don't know if it's actually counter. Because no matter where I'm at, I'm in the world, because that provides for me hope. And, this is Anthony's, at least his second tour. And a tour is just basically you're sent out there. So maybe he go back into Garrison or go back to the States or wherever else he's going to be. And then, bam, you're going back out to Vietnam or Cambodia or wherever you're being sent during that conflict.
So we see that Anthony is just like you mentioned, he's burying his head in the sand about anything that could be happening outside of this war zone where he physically is.
You know how I survived 26 months in the bush? Because I don't think about the world, Skip. That shit don't exist to me.
But the flip side of that is that this young woman and his daughter are left alone to figure out how to make it happen. And we saw that Juanita's mother, is like a single mother there taking care of her 2 daughters, and presumably now 2 daughters and a granddaughter. What is she to do? And how did her mother receive that? Did she get thrown out as soon as she found out? Like Juanita is having a hard life that we're not seeing
and
on the opposite
if
end.
Anthony is just like, I don't care about nothing in the world, then he is not being a responsible father, because one easy thing he could do is sign up your dependent so that they're taken care of, so that you do get this extra pay, so that your kid can be taken care of, and she's not just have this single mother who's struggling in the world while you're over here killing people.
So we do find out, though, that Anthony is probably writing regularly to Kirby.
Hey there, Kirby. What's happening back in the world? See you when I get back to the Bronx. Anthony.
It's 1973 now, and we see Anthony's coming home. He's wearing his uniform and everything. He's in a cab. Once Skip wakes up from his nod, he goes to hang out with his friend. As they're walking down the street, Anthony's like, hey, the neighborhood really changed. And Skip is like, oh, it's still a good place. The white people leaving, but it's still a good place.
The neighborhood is changing. It's still a good place. White people moving out, though.
And he brings up Juanita, and he's like, oh, she looks good and everything, and that you should go check out your daughter.
I saw Juanita the other day, man. Finer than a motherfucker. You need to go check her out, man. Go see your little daughter.
So here we have Skip, who is, is high probably most of the time. He's like still like encouraging him to go see his family. So Anthony finally finds a job at Saul's meat, helping to do some butchering.
Anthony Curtis. Know anything about butchering?
I'm a fast learner.
So Anthony goes to Juanita's mama house, and he asks for her after Delilah opens the door and she recognizes it's him.
Is Juanita in?
No, she's not, but she'll be back in a while.
What you notice is he did not show up until he found a job.
He went around everywhere else until he found a job. He had to have some fun. He met his friends. He talked to everybody, saw his parents, and he recognizes that he can't step until he's able to meet the responsibilities. So Delilah has changed. Also, we see that she's rocking the fro now instead of her little ponytail she had. And she's clearly kind of grown into a woman instead of the, teen kind of girl that we saw before. And she does something that I thought was kind of interesting. She says, basically, welcome home. And she kisses him on his lips.
Shit.
Welcome home.
And she's a lot more politically educated than he is, because one thing that's overarching here is this idea of revolutionary or not, because what they were fighting against revolutionaries in Vietnam. And the West had this idea of the domino theory that basically if any of these nations over there or any nation falls to communism, then before you know it, the whole world is going to be communist, which would, in their eyes, is a bad thing when they really want to push feudalism and capitalism.
So Anthony gets to lay eyes on his daughter in person Sarah for the first time, and she is not a infant either. And then he sees, he and Juanita lock eyes. Juanita comes over. She's clearly moved by the sight of him, probably relieved that he wasn't killed. And she comes and then she kisses him, but she kisses him on the cheek. So I wonder about the significance of we have the one younger sister who kisses him directly on the lips, and then the Juanita kissing him on the cheek. And one other thing I wanted to bring up about the sisters, we have Juanita and Delilah. Well, Delilah, I think about this name, and I think about the name Delilah as Samson and Delilah, the story from the Bible, and how Delilah was Samson's downfall. And maybe we can explore that more as we move on through this analysis. And then he picks up his daughter after being encouraged to do so by Juanita. And then when Juanita sees them together, and then she leans in and gives him a kiss on the lips.
This is Sarah Marie Curtis. Well, hold her, silly. She's yours. Oh.
He is very awkward, and he didn't even initiate to grab her and stuff until he was encouraged, because he is still a kid. Like when he left, basically those years when he was in, basically in war that entire time, he did not mature in the world, right?
In the social sense.
Yeah, or any sense of what's happening in the world. Like he's in high school one day, and then the next day he comes out. It's years later. Everyone else has grown and lived an actual life, and he's just been basically in war.
We see this dynamic happening between Juanita and Anthony, and they're in the car, and he expresses to her, I want you to know I really did miss you.
I want to let you know I did miss you a lot.
So he recognizes, I think, that his absence meant something, and probably the fact that he wasn't communicating over this time had an impact, and he wanted to make sure she understood that, because now that he's back to the world, he, wants to be a part of things with them.
And you have to remember, before he went, he was just basically like, just go on with your life and forget about me, because something could happen. So I don't want to be in your way while I'm gone. And then he comes back and he's just like, he regrets making those statements or having those ideals before he went off to Vietnam.
And Juanita is forgiven, and she's like, don't you think I know that? And, she's willing to just have him slide right on back into their lives. So the next thing you know, while they're in the car, who pulls up looking like just a pimp, except Cuddy, played by Clifton Powell, the Great.
Hey, baby girl.
Cuddy.
Clearly, just by the way he talks and looks, you just feel like he's a bad guy. All right, so then we see Cuddy go on, and he makes it clear that he's been in the picture. I see my little girls in the back seat.
I see my little girl sleeping back there.
Like, how disrespectful in front of her father to say, that's your little girl. And then on top of that, I came by your house.
Came by to see you a little earlier, but you went home.
Oh, I had class tonight after work.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it's Saturday.
So it shows that he's familiar with her schedule. He is the man who has been around. And then he has the nerve to pull out $100 bill.
Cuddy, I wanted you to meet,
Look here, got a little something for Sarah.
It could have actually been more than $100, because it's hard to tell. But let's just say at a minimum, it was $100, which in 1973 would be like worth about $670 in today's money. That's a lot of money just to hand over, like, buy something nice for my little girl here.
Got a little something for Sarah. Buy something real nice.
Even though he's not talking directly to Anthony, he's challenging.
I told you to stop spoiling her like this.
Somebody's got to do it.
And notice in the background, Smiling Faces is playing. Smiling Faces tell lies and they don't tell the truth, right? And so we have the situation where it's almost implied that Juanita is lying, because here she is smiling, trying to downplay things, but she's not. She's just saying, hey, I used to deal with this guy, and it is what it is, and he could either deal with it or not. And when she tries to introduce Anthony, like that was when he came up with this, here's the money for the baby.
And then she tried to introduce him again, and he's just gone. He burns off.
Cuddy, I want you to meet Anthony.
So you don't even matter is the communication here. And Anthony is just looking at this dynamic and not knowing what to make of it. So he goes up to Juanita's house where, Juanita and Sarah live. And she's telling him, have a seat, you know, make yourself comfortable. She's going to put the baby down and whatever.
Come on in and make yourself at home. Come on in.
And he looks over and, you know, they show this roach crawling around the room. And when she comes back, he's like, you know, I think I just better go.
Can I get you something to drink?
I think I better go.
Anthony is upset because of, you know, what happened with Cuddy downstairs. And he does say that she throws 2 yards. So it was $200. So like that's in today's world, you know, would be like what, around $1,300. Like that's a lot of money. He's upset about it, you know, even though part of it is his fault that he wasn't involved. And she admits, hey, I used to see him. Is that what you want to hear?
I used to see Cuddy. Is that what you want to hear?
Blood made that very clear to me. Man, throw 2 yards in your car? You asking me what's the problem? Shit, obviously not.
You know, they get into this argument.
So they have this big argument, and it is revealed that he didn't write back after he found out he had a daughter.
Don't come up in here judging me. As if you cared anything about having a daughter, you would have wrote me back after I sent you a picture. But don't jump on me for having a life. You didn't want one with me.
So he probably didn't take those steps to care for her. And then she got this man who was basically caring for Juanita and Anthony's daughter. And then, so to Cuddy, it's like this guy don't even exist, right? And I guess he's still trying to get with her, but she has decided she want to get with her high school sweetheart. It's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, and the father of her child. And clearly she said she used to date Cuddy. So like they're not dating anymore. They weren't dating when it's not like they were actively, you know, seeing each other. And then, you know, Anthony comes home and she's like, oh, I want Anthony instead of him. Like they were done already. But, you know, he probably rolled by and did favors, you know, because clearly he's older and, you know, whatever. And he's just trying to ensnare her in the trap.
And
you know?
he was playing daddy.
Yeah, and he was playing daddy. But in the end, they, you know, make up, at least, you know, in the moment. He realized he ain't had no coochie, so.
He could have got some from the sister. Come to find out, Juanita's pregnant because Anthony is holding his daughter, Sarah, and stuff. And Juanita's like, you're going to spoil that girl.
You're gonna spoil that girl.
I'm gonna spoil that one in your belly, too.
Now, think back to when Cuddy, when we was introduced to Cuddy, and she's like, I told you to stop spoiling her, right? And she's pregnant. So now we got this going on where he's back, has his daughter, Sarah, and Juanita's pregnant.
Anthony is excited and happy that they're going to have another baby. And he makes this statement, hey, we can will ourselves a boy. You know, it's the power of the mind.
Look at you. See what we got ourselves here. We're gonna have ourselves a little boy. Aunt Junior. It's the power of the mind. We will ourselves a little boy.
And then Juanita hits back hard and she's like, can you will yourself a better job?
Then can you will yourself a better job?
And I was not
just out of nowhere.
Yeah, like because she's got this pent up resentment and she's concerned about the conditions that, you know, that they're living in this, you know, roach-filled apartment,
right.
And knowing that they have got this other baby coming, and she recognizes it's not enough money.
Yeah, but at the time, how out of the ordinary would this be for a black man to be in the Bronx working at a local business in the Bronx?
It's not out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
it's just that she wants more, right? She just wants more. And
she wants to go back to the Cuddy days.
Well, yeah, because Cuddy could just drop a couple $100 at any point. And when she was with Cuddy, he probably did take care of her well. He was giving her money even when, you know, when they weren't together. And so, and there's no way she could probably be taking money openly from Cuddy if Anthony is in the picture. So, you know, her quality of life has been diminished and she's putting that pressure on him like, hey, you know, you need some more money. But I thought in this moment that her saying that was just incredibly insensitive and cruel. It was wrong. Juanita goes on to tell him, you know, like, we're in the real world. Ain't no free meals here like in the Marines.
I'm gonna get myself a good job.
You know how long you been singing that same old song now, Anthony? This here's the real world. Ain't no free meals here like in the Marines.
As if, first of all, that the food is free, which it's not, right? And then the second thing is as if he wasn't working when he was in the Marines.
Right, and he was in the bush. Just think of the meals that he ate. You seen that we're eating out of the cans and everything. Like, this isn't like you're at a 5-star restaurant or something. But yeah, even with the pay, the included meals it doesn't make up for that lack of pay. Because you're getting compensated for all of those things so that's subtracted from whatever pay you would get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like to look at it as free is very crazy, and then to tell someone that who had been through what he's been through.
Is just very, very insensitive. And the insensitivity is coming from her frustration over these years of having to figure out how to care for this child on her own. But at the same time, like, her mouth is wild.
So Anthony is walking home after, basically being let go. And somebody gives him a flower and say, brother, don't let the bullshit get to you.
Here you go, brother. Don't let the bullshit get to you.
Man, Anthony can't even get in the house before here comes Cuddy in the stairwell of the apartment building talking about, hey, young blood.
Hey, young blood.
He is just so disrespectful. And he says, I took care of your woman and your baby while you were in the war. And he should be getting some respect for the fact that he took care of him.
I just dropped by to see Juanita and Sarah,
About to see my baby.
I took care of your woman and your baby when you went to war. Yeah, a man ought to get a little respect for something like that.
I don't know. I don't know.
He do, but that doesn't mean that you have to be coming around after the fact, right? Because what happened was Anthony went to war. He forgot about basically his family, his daughter. He knew he had a daughter. And this guy was here taking care of his daughter while he was gone.
Yeah.
At least financially, we know that.
Mm-hmm. And we know that when she came back, she already chose. She chose Anthony. She did not choose you. So, Cuddy, you can just step on back, but you being real, real disrespectful. Cuddy is saying, hey, you back. I'm backing off.
But you back now. And I'm gone.
Which, of course, we know is a lie. And tells him that he laid a little bit of money on Juanita, but to think of me as a friend of the family.
You should consider me like a friend of the family. Now, I laid a little cash on Juanita.
So, man, stay the fuck away from my family.
So if you ever in a jam and you need some money, you could come to me, which of course the setup is so, he's like, because you're a man and you need to be a man.
I used to love to bring home the groceries. Made me feel real good, like a man. Know what I mean?
But oddly, like this man wants to go to another man who used to sleep with his woman to get money from him to take care of his family. Like, how does that make you feel like a man? We just know that Cuddy was up to some nonsense with this. Of course, Anthony rejects it and he's just like, nah.
Keep your shit.
Yeah, it's a similar scene to with Cowboy earlier when he first played pool with him, where he was like, you heard me, I'm going to tell everybody that Cowboy likes to cheat, right?
Why you gotta cheat? I'm gonna tell everybody around here, when it comes to playing pool, Cowboy likes to cheat.
So he's basically having this same sort of a personality that we can see come through. You hurt me.
Listen, brother. I know about pride, but you got mouths to feed.
Stay the fuck away from my family.
What did you say?
You heard me, goddammit. I said stay the fuck away from my family.
What happens after is pretty much the same, right? Where, these sort of interactions that you have with people are going to result a lot differently than when you have a gun,
Cuddy fakes him and then turns around and hits him and knocks him down the stairs along with the groceries.
I don't want no trouble.
Pulls a gun out and puts it to his face.
I tried to be a friend, motherfucker.
And basically just has this long lecture with him about, how he used to do Juanita and how she wasn't doing all of these sexual favors and whatever beforehand.
Does she suck you, fuck you, make you feel like a man, make you feel real good? And she wasn't doing it like that before you went to the war now, was she?
And how, just disrespectful how he taught her what she knows and how Anthony is benefiting from all of this.
Now you getting all that good loving. You can't even put food on your fucking table.
Anthony has this tear that kind of rolls down his cheek because I think he's been completely disappointed, disgusted, and emasculated by Cuddy coming around and doing him like this, plus having a gun to his face. But he's like, just kill me now.
Open your mouth and suck this. Suck it, nigga!
Kill me, motherfucker.
And I think Cuddy recognized in that moment, like, oh, okay. And then he says, well, I'm not going to kill you over no woman. And
I ain't gonna kill you over no woman.
lucky that this is personal
You lucky this is personal, nigga.
because, you know,
Yeah.
implying that he would have killed him if it was business.
The whole gun is an intimidation factor, and he showed that he wasn't scared. Like, he was like, suck on it. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Just kill me. And he called his bluff, and he was bluffing.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't kill him. But then he says those infamous words, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Don't you ever in your fucking life bite the hand that feeds you, nigga.
I have to wonder if the reason that Cuddy shows up on this day is because Juanita has called him. I do wonder because, you know, she's expressed that, you know, she's unhappy with the amount of money coming into the household. And this is why he's feeling the pressure that he's feeling. Cuddy kind of makes himself only a phone call away. Did she call him to bring some money or not? I don't know. Go to the comments. Do you think that Juanita called Cuddy and that's why he showed up? You know, he's on his way home from, you know, getting fired, but did he let her know he got fired? You know, did he call like, hey, you're not going to believe this? Or, you know, is he going to break the news when he gets to the house? So these are questions that run through my mind as I watch this.
I'm all right.
So Juanita and Anthony get into it because he tells her that she's got to give the money back.
You giving him that money back.
You won't take it back.
You better get his shit back to him.
And she's like, even if I wanted to give the money back,
Even if I wanted to give it back to him, Anthony, he wouldn't take it back.
What the fuck you talking about if you want to give it back?
she doesn't want to give the money back. At the end of the day, she's like, we need this money and I'm not giving it back.
Fuck that shit.
You forgotten? You just lost your damn job. We need that fucking money.
We don't need his money.
But she was saying that Cuddy would not accept the money back, even if she wanted to give it back. So the argument devolves. And then Juanita, again, with her sharp tongue, is like, you know, basically you need to quit, stop feeling sorry for yourself. And you just need to bring in some money. But until you become like a real man, I'm taking this money from this man outside of our situation who has just basically beat you up and put a gun to your head. Like, Juanita, what are you doing, girl?
You start bringing some real money in here like a real man. I think about giving it back to him. Until then, I don't want to hear shit.
She does say that you are not the man that you were before you went to war.
That's who I thought showed the fuck back up here. I don't know who the fuck you are.
And Juanita, like you should
Well,
understand that.
What household was he taking care of as a child who hadn't even graduated from high school yet? It's just totally different, right? Like, you wouldn't expect the same person. Like, she isn't the same person when he left. But that's just her making excuses, right?
For her own behavior. But at the same time, this is where Juanita's immaturity shows up. You know, so while Juanita, you know, quickly became a mother and learned to take care of her child and keep her child, you know, and on her own with, you know, help a little bit from Cuddy, but, you know, to learn to become a mother quickly, like her level of maturity in other areas clearly was not the case, because common sense would have told her taking money from this man was going to be a bad idea. And then to boldly proclaim you're going to do it, emasculate your own man at the same time, like this is all a recipe for disaster. So we see the conversation and argument continue to devolve because Anthony's been drinking too, and now he's basically accusing her of sleeping with Cuddy.
Why you so damn paranoid? I ain't fucking him.
The motherfucker ain't sniffing around here tossing money in your motherfucking face for nothing.
I don't think that Juanita was sleeping with Cuddy at this point, but his own insecurities because of everything that has happened have him in this headspace. And Juanita is in this moment not smart enough to say, hey, let me try to diffuse this. So she just goes toe to toe because they're throwing daggers at each other right at this moment. And she's like, yeah, you know, I did.
Get this shit, man. Be honest. Fucking him, right?
That's what you want here?
Yeah.
Fine. I'm fucking him.
Whose baby is that? Don't even answer that shit.
Whatever, even though, of course, I don't believe this to be true. So Juanita basically gets choked as a result of her, you know, throwing all of these things. He doesn't have a job. You having a silly nightmares. That was just too much for him to hear. And he chokes Juanita.
You the big Marine man with no damn job. Why the fuck you with me? What you think I need you? You think I need this shit? You can't get a decent job. The only time I get to hold you is when you're having one of them silly ass nightclubs. She tries
to stop him from leaving because clearly he's ready to get out of there before he hurts somebody. You know, again, he chokes her and is telling her, you know, look, don't run up on me like this.
Fuck off me.
And again, he is not the same person as he was before, and his experiences have informed his behavior in a different way than what she's expecting in this moment. And of course, Juanita is shaking. If she knew he would do that, she wouldn't have run up on him, and talked to him the way that she did. That kind of facilitated some of this going on.
If you made it this far in the video, type "bun the money" in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who watched the film breakdown to the end.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and check out one of our other videos on the screen right now. If you like fan theories, movie trivia quizzes, and movie discussions, please subscribe to our other channel, Station B by Axiom Amnesia, so you won't miss out on any of our fun discussions.